years for a murder he didn't commit. Brian Hooper was sentenced to life in 1998, but the key witness recently confessed to the crime. Hooper, now 54, walked out of Stillwater Prison to reunite with his children. And rapper Young Thug is apologizing to girlfriend Mariah the Scientist after leaked jail calls revealed he was unfaithful. The private conversations, now public, sparked social media buzz. Thug posted on X saying he's sorry and willing to do anything to make the relationship work. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Join New Schools for New Orleans, All-State Sugar Bowl, and Entergy New Orleans in recognizing and celebrating the Teachers of the Year at our 4th annual New Orleans Excellence in Teaching Awards Gala. The gala will take place Saturday, November 1st at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. This year's gala will feature New Orleans legend DJ Jubilee. Don't miss out on this intimate celebration supporting our New Orleans public school teachers. Tickets can be purchased on our website, newschoolsforneworleans.org.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
The talk line is 504-582-9422. 504-582-9422. I got Chief Eddie Compass with me here again today. He's co-hosting. Eddie, give it a shot. Tell him the phone number for the talk line.
All right, it's 504-582-9422.
All right. All right. I think even the people in the back got that one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, good morning, and welcome to another day, another edition of the Good Morning Show. I am blessed to have yet another day. Thank the Lord for getting me up and putting my feet on the ground and allowing me to have traveling mercies to get here to WBOK. There are a lot of things in the news these days, and particularly today after some things that happened yesterday and the day before. So we'll be getting to some of that in the show on this morning. Of course, October 11th is a big day, and that is Election Day. And early voting starts on September 27th. And it ends on October 4th. So if you're not registered to vote, please go ahead and get yourself registered. September 10th is the last day, but you have the opportunity to get registered online and in person right now, and you can still vote in the mayoral election, the assessor election, the city council district at large elections, the clerk election. You have an opportunity to vote on a ballot measure, and we're going to be talking about that, not today, but we're going to talk about that next week so that you're aware, because not many people are aware of that important matter. There's so much attention on the candidate races, and in particular the mayoral campaign, which is a big deal. Who's going to lead this city for the next 4 years? Because in January we will have a new mayor, and it's very important that you register or unregistered. You ask your questions, and you attend some of these activities and events, and that you get involved and get engaged, and don't wait till somebody's elected to say, I wish it wasn't her, or I wish it wasn't him. It should have been this one. It should have been. I mean, get involved and get engaged, and maybe one question is not enough. You got a bunch of questions. See what questions you can get out there through the official channels of whichever sponsor or host of a debate or a forum, and also catch them on the side, catch them during a break, catch them after. They're moving them around because they want your support, which means you don't even have to be registered to vote. They want your support. They definitely want volunteers for their respective campaigns. And they definitely want your vote, which means you got to be registered. And if you're not, I'm sure any of the campaigns would be happy to help you get registered. Plus, there are other groups that are not affiliated with any campaign who are assisting folks. But you can do it yourself. You just go online, go vote, and you can walk through the process in just a matter of minutes, and you can be a registered voter in Orleans Parish for these city elections. But, we're based in New Orleans, and it's the big audience block where we have. But we got a lot of listeners over in Jefferson Parish, St. Bernard Parish, Plaquemine, St. Tammany, and the river parishes. And you, too, can get yourself registered to vote. So just because we've got this heavy focus on the big news of the state with this mayoral election doesn't mean you can't take care of your business in whichever of the 64 parishes where you live. September 27th for early voting and October 11th for election day.
When you look at voting, it's the most sacred privilege and right, I believe, in our society, because you have the ability as one individual to make change. When you're looking for a candidate for any position of public office, you have to look at their skill set, their history. Do their ideologies line up with yours? Do their values line up with yours? What is important to you? Is it something that's important to them? Is it something paramount? Is it something that's paramount to the city? Will it fall under the guise whereas the sacrifice of the many for the betterment of the few? Because some things that are passed, it only affects a very small group of people, and it doesn't really add to the quality of life for the multitudes. So you have to see if a situation like that is in existence within the city that's important to you, and how do they feel about it? When you look at voting and changing, I guess, power bases, for lack of a better term, what type of people are going to surround themselves with? No one person is an island. When I became superintendent of police, I kept some of the deputy chiefs. I got new deputy chiefs. I kept some of the district commanders. I put tangible gauges in place for promotionals. Before I became chief, for the sergeant's position, they weren't intense interviews. And I remember Hans Gauthier was from out of town. Mm-hmm. He had a resume that was impressive. He was military. He was somebody who was highly intelligent, but he didn't know nobody. And when he came into the process, he came out number one. And he came back to my office a few days later and said, "Chief, I got to apologize to you. I thought this was all smoke and mirrors." He said, "I never thought I had a chance to be. I thought this was an exercise in futility." Well, the reason I'm using Hans Gauthier as an example, because now he is matriculated to the police department. He's the number 2 person. Mm-hmm. So had I not put something in place that was fair, had I not put something in place that was measuring matrices, and I thought that was important for the police department, he never would have ascended to that position, because in order to be a deputy chief, you have to start off as a sergeant. Yeah. So when you're looking for somebody to vote for, what is their history of promotions? Are they putting their cousin there? Mm-hmm. Their mom and them best friend? Mm-hmm. You want people that's qualified that's going to be in those positions, because as a mayor, as a city councilman, you're not on an island. Right. So, you have to look at all these things and take all these factors in consideration. When you give away your vote, that's one of the most precious things you can give an individual. So don't give it away like candy.
All right. Yep, absolutely, positively. And, along the lines of police chief, one of the questions that has been asked at a number of debates and forums of the mayoral candidates is, would you continue with the incumbent police chief, Ann Kirkpatrick. There have been various answers over the weeks. We're now at a point where the three most prominent candidates, State Senator Royce Duplessis, City Council member for District E, Oliver Thomas, and City Council Vice President Helena Moreno, all agree that they would continue her tenure if elected mayor. But there are other candidates running who agree with that, and there are other candidates running who said very clearly, my answer is N-O, no. I would not continue that because they have a different vision for the public safety, for the policing of this community. Maybe that's your point of view. And if that is your point of view, then maybe your candidate is not one of the quote unquote major candidates. If it's that important to you, or maybe it's a factor and you wish they had a different opinion, but you're willing to go with one of the big three because of overwhelming support for other things that you are in favor of and that you trust them to do. So the police chief job is a big one, but like so many things when it comes to voting, some of us vote on one issue, but a number of us vote on a multitude of issues and decide on a candidate.
Right. You know, when you look at police chief, you know, I don't have a dog in this fight as it relates to picking a police chief, but I can only go by her resume. She's graduated from the FBI Academy. She's handled positions in major cities. She's proven that she can cut crime in the city and murders. You know, she's very competent. I think she has a law degree. So if you do take somebody other than Chief Kirkpatrick, their resume, his or her resume, should be equal or better. And being in law enforcement, I'm going to tell you, there's not too many people that I know of that has a more impressive resume than Chief Kirkpatrick. So if you're going to pick somebody, make sure it's not you picking somebody because that's one of your cousin's friends or something like that. Because when you talk about the chief of police, that's the most serious position in my opinion because you talk about public safety, life and death.
Yeah.
And you don't want to play with that.
Yeah. All right. Well, in other news, the mayor was in court Wednesday, and she entered a plea of not guilty on the charges of conspiracy, wire fraud, conspiracy to obstruct justice, false statements, obstruction of justice, and false declaration before a grand jury. And her next court date is October 13th. So the election day is October 11th.
Wow.
Her next court date is October 13th. If there is a runoff, that runoff would be in November, and currently her trial date is set for November 17th. So this would be a interesting series of events to have an election of a mayor in October or a runoff for mayor in November, and the mayor's term ending in January. Meanwhile, having the next court date, October 13th, and then a trial set for November 17th. And I don't imagine that would be a short trial. Of course, she has really good attorneys, and dates do get changed based on request or evidence and legal matters that go before the judge. But the U.S. Marshal's Office released a statement, and it says, quote, "The decision for yesterday's departure of Mayor Cantrell was made in response to emergent security concerns that were identified prior to her exit. The lead deputy assigned to the operation exercised their authority to adjust the mayor's exit strategy from the public portraits or Lafayette Street exits to a more secure alternative. Ensuring the integrity of our judicial process and safeguarding the well-being of all parties involved remains our highest priority. We remain committed to upholding the law and protecting those engaged in these proceedings, unquote. So for those who saw the video of what happened that day when the mayor arrived, no surprise, there were cameras all over the place and journalists and others wanting to see the mayor and talk to the mayor and get pictures of the mayor and a video of the mayor and hoping the mayor would talk, which of course I told you she would not.
Right.
But having experienced that part, they allowed her a different exit strategy.
Right.
And so some people were anticipating that there would be a similar scene, and that is not what happened. But that goes into protecting the integrity of the process, and it's also a law enforcement move.
Right. Well, yeah, I look at the Marshal's Office. They're one of the most professional organizations that we have, and that was a class move to do that, as well as a move that complied in with some safety measures you want to put in place, because you want to do this as I would say as easy as possible to ensure the integrity of the investigation, to integrity of the trial, and safety concerns. We always say that, like when you're playing football against your rival, so it's just another game. Well, that's not true. Mm-hmm. And this is not just another trial. This is the mayor. This is the highest office that we have in city government. Yep. And, she is afforded the presumption of innocence like any other citizen. So when you look at it, when you in these positions, you have certain responsibilities to the city, and her functionality as it relates to the leader of our city is going to be different because of the trial bringing light upon it. And she has, as a citizen, the right to defend herself, and she's got to take time for that. So she's put safeguards in place, I've heard. I don't know for sure, for the functionality of the city to remain, as unaffected as humanly possible under the circumstances.
And today, co-conspirator Jeffrey Vappy, a former executive security member for the mayor, is due to show up at federal court and enter his plea. He's expected to enter a plea of not guilty before a federal magistrate judge. Prosecutors have alleged that he lied on official forms to claim work hours when he was actually spending personal time with the mayor, and that he and the mayor attempted to delete messages between them as a part of a cover-up. And for the government's case, they look at this as a violation of the public trust and dealing with city finances because of the trips and the time paid while on duty, and not the personal decisions of whatever did or didn't happen. So there is a distinction, and I think people are getting confused about that, but they're looking at it from that vantage point. So Mr. Vappy's court appearance will be today, so watch out for that today, folks. We're going to go to break, and as we go to break, let me tell you what we got coming up. We've got attorney Peter Hamilton Jr., Ann Duplessis, and Angel Thibodeau Burns, Dr. Burns, from Liberty Bank coming up, and they will be talking with us about wills, trusts, and successes as a part of your financial health and wealth. So we'll have our friends from Liberty Bank joining us soon. We also will have Amir Barak. Oh my God, I am really looking forward to that. And we got about 30 seconds, Chief. Tell them just a bit about who we have coming up.
Amir Barak is probably the most incredible young man I've ever come across in my life in law enforcement. He's literally turned his entire life around to a point where he's a national role model. He went to jail for murder when he was a teenager. diagnosed with dyslexia while he was incarcerated. And he literally learned to read, learned to educate himself. And his story is incredible. He and I work together now, and we travel all over the country telling his story and talking about other methodologies of rehabilitation as opposed to incarceration. And
we're going to hear from him today, and you'll hear from him. We'll have an opportunity for calls. That talk line number is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. At 7:22, folks. You got 8 minutes to be somewhere if you need to be there at 7:30. This is WBOK, 1230 AM. What New Orleans is talking about
all day long. We got that.
Good morning and happy Friday. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News, and here's a look at today's headlines. Later this morning, Mayor LaToya Cantrell's former bodyguard will be arraigned in court. Jeffrey Vappy is accused alongside the mayor in what prosecutors describe as a years-long scheme to conceal an affair while the two traveled on the taxpayer's dime. Vappy must appear in federal court at 10 a.m. Cantrell already pleaded not guilty to the charges against her on Wednesday. Then a New Orleans mother will be back in court facing charges related to her 12-year-old son's death. Hilda Vasquez is charged with negligent homicide and second-degree cruelty to a juvenile. Her son Brian was found dead in a lagoon days after he went missing from his New Orleans East home. Hilda was ordered to have no contact with her other children and will have to enroll in a domestic abuse program. Today's hearing is set for 3 p.m. And following a slew of threats made to college campuses yesterday, including Southern University in Baton Rouge, Southern University New Orleans is postponing a groundbreaking ceremony for its new nursing building that was originally scheduled for today. SUNO officials say there was no threat made toward them, but the decision was made as a precaution. And that's a look at today's headlines. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News. Have a great day and a better weekend.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat, brought to you by FidelityWealthManagement.com. Clutch Sports founder and CEO Rich Paul is a sports super agent, and now, through Masterclass, he wants to share the keys to his success. Masterclass is a subscription-based online learning series featuring world-renowned experts, celebrities, and industry leaders. For Rich Paul, he wants to make sure his Masterclass isn't focused too narrowly on just sports.
I wanted to make sure that I found a balance and not just talking about what happens in the business of sports, because everyone isn't in that business, but giving people what I would say would be a very relatable and understandable perspective on how to evolve.
Paul learned how to negotiate watching his father. In his masterclass, he hopes to pass along some of the same skills that turned him into one of the most successful and well-known agents. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Lowe's knows you've got a job to do, and we help get it done. With the MyLowe's Pro Rewards program, eligible members save more with volume discounts on qualifying orders through a quote of $2,000 or more. Join for free today. Lowe's, we help, you save. Offer can't be combined with any other discount, contract, and/or special pricing. Exclusions, more terms, and restrictions apply. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, to keep an eye on taxes and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you unlock your wealth's full potential. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
That's right. It's party time each and every Sunday night at 7 p.m. on WBOK. It's the Throwback Throwdown with DJ Wick as he brings you the best in old school from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and the early 2Ks. Plus, the party goes to another level at 9 p.m. with the Throwback Throwdown Party Mix to round out the night. It's the Throwback Throwdown Sunday nights at 7 p.m. on WBOK and on the World Wide Web at WBOK1230.com.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
What's the future for New Orleans? Will city services ever function efficiently? Our people need answers, not slogans. That's why the Nonpartisan City Services Coalition has asked the candidates for mayor how they plan to fix city government. Want to know what they said? Go to cityservicescoalition.com to see for yourself. It's time for action, not excuses. The next step is yours.
Paid for by the City Services Coalition.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. For those of you who have been with us since 7 a.m. or 7:05 or 7:12 or 7:20, it's 7:28. You got 2 minutes to get to your coffee at 7:30 if that's not too far from where you are, but you're probably too late to get to work on time for 7:30. But you got a shot to get there for 7:45 or 8 o'clock. Bright, beautiful day out there. It is gorgeous, and we do want you to continue to listen to the Good Morning Show as you go about getting yourself together or just relaxing with your coffee, your tea, or your juice. 7:28 a.m., you're listening to WBOK 1230 a.m. This is Will Sutton, and right here with me is Chief Eddie Compass. And we're going to look at some of the news that you want to know, should know, might want to know. And matter of fact, we're going to really ask you to think about some things related to the Charlie Kirk thing and give us a call, see what kind of conversation we can get about that. But yesterday, one of the things that happened was the city council took a vote on Mayor LaToya Cantrell's bid to halt a $5 million deal between the city and LSU. So city council and the mayor are at different places on what should be done with the Wisner Trust Fund. And we've had Joe Zarusso multiple times and others on the show to talk about this. So those of you who are steady listeners know that we're talking about a lot of money at stake. But Mayor Cantrell sees it one way, City Council sees it another way, and Mayor Cantrell wants to effectively keep things the way they are with splitting it with the heirs who have been benefiting from this for more than 100 years. But what happened yesterday was the mayor had vetoed this, meaning it would not move forward with this piece of the deal for LSU to get $5 million in exchange for LSU forfeiting its part of the Wisner Trust Fund that they benefited from every single year. Well, the council voted last month to pull $5 million from capital bond funds to seal that deal. And in late August, after that vote, the mayor received it and said, no, we're not going to do this. And at that time, she said, the ordinance oversteps the legal boundaries of council authority. As mayor, I have a duty to protect the integrity of our budget process and to ensure public funds are handled lawfully and responsibly. Well, city council said they disagree, and yesterday they voted to override the mayor's decision. So that means that's going to, that piece of it, and there are multiple pieces of it, that means that piece of it is going to move forward. And to be clear, this was not a partial or split vote. City Council's vote was unanimous. And we know they agree on a lot of things that people don't realize because we kind of focus on the chaos and the disagreements. But this is something that's extremely important, and they voted as an entire unified city legislative body to override the mayor's veto.
This is a perfect example of a political imbroglio. You're looking at two entities of government basically stating their case for these funds. But while they're going through this exercise not in futility, but in the allocation of the funds, we're at a standstill with the money. The money's not being used for anything right now, if I'm not mistaken, because it's not being distributed in the way that was intended to in the beginning. But when you look at it from that perspective, the city council's reasons and the mayor's reasons should be on one accord. But in actuality, it's not at this moment. So,
well, it's certainly not between the mayor and city council.
And city council.
What I find interesting is that city council is in lockstep. I mean, so nobody on city council agrees with the mayor on this issue.
Right. And that's going to be the proverbial bureaucratic quagmire, because the lawyers from each side is going to be debating this. And unfortunately, we're at a stalemate. And you're in the middle of a political campaign for some of the city council members to get reelected, and some of them are running for mayor. So I'm sure at those forums that we talk about all the time, if they were the mayor, how would they handle this? Could be a question that's answered, that's asked. So this is when we were talking about to get involved and look at things that's happening in real time. So, this situation is fluid right now, and, we're going to keep you abreast on what's going to happen, because this is a lot of money, like Will says. And, we at WBOK, we try to keep the public informed, because this is something that is not on the radar in the streets or in the media on a daily basis. So this is something that, we want everybody to watch, and we're gonna keep you abreast of what's going on.
Yeah, we're talking about the mayor's, I'm sorry, not the mayor, the city's portion of this trust fund proceeds moving from $3.5 million to about $6 million. So that's a significant change.
Yeah.
And what city council wants to do is support nonprofit grassroots organizations with this money, and to aid the quality of life and the economic development of our city at the grassroots. So meanwhile, of course, in other news, it's national news, but there are a lot of people talking about this in the last 48 hours. The conservative influencer, conservative activist, advocate, Charlie Kirk was shot and killed at a Turning Point event at Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. And the FBI reported that it was a high-powered bolt-action rifle that the shot came from, that went into his neck, that put him in critical condition, and then he died. That rifle was recovered in a wooded area where the shooter had fled. They're doing what you do when you find a weapon like this, and analyzing it. I mean, you don't just pick it up and don't let anybody handle it, even if they are an officer of the law. I mean, it just can't be anybody handling that. And there are different ways to look at the weaponry, but they're also analyzing footwear impressions, palm prints, forearm imprints, which you might not think about, but when you're using a rifle versus a pistol, then that's kind of a different way that you hold it. and that too can be a part of this case. We're going to talk about this more, but I want to make sure you have the number because I'd be curious to know what some of you all are thinking about this. It's a murder.
Yeah.
This was a murder. But this man has been very racist in his years building up to his millionaire status, and he's gotten rich off of being racist. 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. So, Chief Eddie, tell us a little bit about an investigation like this and, what's probably going on.
Well, first of all, as an investigator, no matter what your personal ideology about what this man espouses to or not, you have a duty, a sacred duty, to do your due diligence. And when you're talking about preserving evidence on a scene like that, one of the main things is that you want to bring a crime lab unit out there, experts in actually cataloging and basically investigating the evidence. Now, the fingerprints, if this individual had a record or is on our radars from a law enforcement entity, it's put through a database, and they can identify an individual strictly from his fingerprints. And when you present the case in a court of law, you want to make sure that the chain of evidence is followed. Because if you do not follow the correct chain of evidence, even though you may have the evidence that may convict someone, under the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine, under your constitutional rights, that if you attain evidence without using the proper protocols, that's in violation of individuals' rights as an individual, you cannot use that evidence like it doesn't exist. So they're going to be very careful how they're processing that. When you look at it from the perspective, this individual espoused things that was talked about in the 20s and the 30s as it relates to referring to African Americans and minorities. And, that type of thinking is superannuated and obsolete. But you cannot let that affect how you do this investigation as a law enforcement entity. So I'm very, very curious to see, the process of it. And I know that it's paramount in the eyes of the law enforcement agencies that's handling this. So hopefully we'll come to a conclusion, very soon on the identity of this individual and have him put into the criminal justice system and adjudicate this case.
Well, we have breaking news. Breaking news. Actually, within minutes of our starting to talk about this, the President of the United States has announced that police have arrested a suspect in the assassination of Charlie Kirk on that Utah college campus. There's no specifics. This is a very early report, but from like him or loathe him, a very important person in this country. And he says that, quote, I think with a high degree of certainty, we have him. And that's what he told Fox News, Fox and Friends show in particular, a short while ago. Essentially, someone who knew him turned him in. Wow. Isn't that something? So Trump said that, this is according to Fox News, Trump said he hopes the suspect gets the death penalty if found guilty. And he explained that investigators found the suspect with the help of a minister, a member of the U.S. Marshals Service, and the suspect's father.
Oh, wow.
So the president went on to say, we have that person that we think is the person we're looking for, but they drove into the police headquarters, and he's there now. President Trump talking to Fox News just a short time ago. And so somebody appears to be in custody. He is the president of the United States. He's not the responsible law enforcement agency making the announcement, of course. But certainly the president of the United States would be informed of any major national assassination like this. And apparently you were just talking about the U.S. Marshals. and looks like they may have played a role along with a minister and the suspect's father.
You know, that's an example of community policing at its best. You have law enforcement partnering with the community, and basically the individual was brought to justice, presumably, without any type of incident, and now our criminal justice system under our democracy is going to be put in place. And, he has to have a fair trial. He has to be given all the rights under the constitutionality of our legal system. And I think that it's going to be very high profile. So I'm sure that the government's going to make sure that every T is crossed and every I is dotted as it relates to the gathering of the evidence, as it relates to the constitutional rights of the individual when they're talking to him or interrogating him, making sure he has the right to have, with the lawyer, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you do, can't say be used against you in a court of law, that type of thing. You have to give those basic rights, and and what relates to the catching of the the finding of the weapon, making sure that all the procedures were put in place so it's not, the chain of evidence is not compromised. So it can be drawn out.
Yep. Well, this is a breaking news story. We're happy to bring this to you on the Good Morning Show. That's why it's important to listen to the Good Morning Show. If there is breaking news, we will bring it to you, and we will identify some of the news stories that we believe are most important to you. Right now, we've got Sean on the line. Sean is calling in. Good morning, Sean. Good morning, Sean.
Hey, man, I just want to say one thing, man. I hate when I keep on hearing people keep on pretending that this is a political assassination. And because everybody know, man, this guy just went around talking, demeaning black folks and different folk, that was other than white folk. And they keep on pretending that this is what this is about, a political thing. And I just hate that narrative. And I'm starting to hear some people on WBOK say it's this politicizing this as if that's what it is. And, I love WBOK, and I hate the idea of my favorite station perpetuating, this like is a political situation that we can't coincide, we can't rationalize with one another without killing each other. This is not one of those things. This is not political. This guy was not killed because it's a political thing, and I just hate that idea, and I wish that we could get some pushback. And, to me, this guy wasn't important to me at all, All of this, talking about this guy as he was some special person is just building up the idea that these people in higher places are making this guy out to be. And I'm just sorry that, the more folk talk about him as if he was somebody, for as being somebody that was making this country better. He wasn't. He was tearing this country apart, and, we don't need people like that in public that's going to be tearing the country apart.
But Sean, if somebody is gaining followers and the crowds are growing from 10 to 20 to 200 to 2,000 to thousands, and they're selling merchandise and they are getting speaker fees and people are competing for his time and his voice and put him in charge of a major conservative organization, Turning Point, isn't that person becoming more prominent, whether we like what he's saying or not?
Okay, so that could have been David Duke. It could have been the same old person. Should we be really rationalizing and talking as if this person was this prominent person for this other side, that wanted to see our demise? I don't think that, it's good idea for us to, put this guy on a pedestal, as if he was doing something for this country. And, this follower fanfare thing, I just don't buy the idea that he should be touted as if he was doing something for this country. And we're making it bad by just continuing to talk as if this guy was someone this country needed. I don't think he was needed for anything because he brought dissension among, black folk and white folk. I think we have to sometimes, not get involved with this head media honcho that's pushing and publicizing what they want to be important. This shouldn't be important to us. I think it's a waste of time.
Okay.
For us.
Well, thank you for calling, Sean. I appreciate your sharing your viewpoint, your perspective. We really appreciate you calling in and sharing your thoughts, Chief.
Well, first of all, we're not making him a hero. We're reporting the news and talking about his ideologies. We're looking at it from the perspective that he has been somebody that's been very divisive, and we know that it's newsworthy in the community, not just in the African-American community, but in the national community. It's on all of the major stations, so it's not something we can ignore. We can't put our head in the sand and play it like it doesn't exist. But his ideology is prominent among people who thinks like him. But basically the thing about our society, we have a different opinion, and we have a different voice, and we have a different ideology. And even though we have a different ideology than him, it doesn't mean we can't report what has happened. And then basically you're talking about, the reason why he did it. Well, we really don't know. We can basically speculate because of this individual's thoughts and political views and why he was killed. But the individual that killed him, he just was taken into custody minutes ago. So nobody's interrogated. There's not been a public statement by his lawyers or by him. So we don't know what was his motivation. We can assume.
We don't even know who he is.
And
right.
So we can't try, convict, and sentence him on innuendo, supposition, and conjecture. We need tangible gauges of measurement of evidence. So it's in the beginning stage.
Well, we got to go to break, folks, but we're going to talk about this some more. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Another hot and mostly dry day, slightly lower humidity with highs in the low to mid-90s. It will feel about 3 to 5 degrees warmer than the actual temperatures. The mostly dry and hot weather continues into the weekend and on into next week. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Get ready, New Orleans. The Inspire the City Invitational is taking over the Caesars Superdome on Friday, September 12th. 2 powerhouse prep football matchups, one unforgettable night. At 6 p.m., it's Rummel versus University High, followed by a nationally ranked showdown at 8 p.m. as Edna Carr takes on American Heritage from Florida. Celebrate the spirit of our city, honor the legacy of Ed Daniels, and experience football at its finest. Tickets are on sale now at InspireNolaSchools.org.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana companies through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about what the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation does, please visit www.jazzandheritage.org.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. For those of you who have been with us for whatever bit of time, it's 7:51, and you got a 5-minute commute. You got really a casual bit of time to get there for 8 o'clock. But if you got an 8:15, an 8:10, 8:20, or 8:30, you need to get up and get going, start that car, grab that coffee, that tea, that juice, whatever you do as a part of your morning routine to get yourself going. But for those of you who are retired, got nowhere you got to be, chilling, we thank you for listening to WBOK on your AM radio like my daddy does. We thank you for listening on the internet via the WBOK 1230 AM website. And we thank you for those who join us every day or most days on Facebook Live on the WBOK 1230 AM Facebook page. The talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. And I just want to remind you that we're going to be talking to folks from Liberty Bank about wills, trust, and successions. And we're going to be talking to Mr. Amir Barak, which you are not going to want to miss. But we do have Ray Bourne, I hope I'm saying that right, Ray Bourne on the phone calling in. Ray, good morning.
Yeah, morning. Based on what happened with the shooting, any event that's live, even if it's on TV or the internet, if something happened like a shooting or any kind of accident, is that video confiscated and is not able to be watched again?
That's a very good question.
If a crime, like right before it happened, you can subtract that part off. Yeah. And like say it's been going on for an hour, people just won't watch that first hour. Right. Even like it was a music event or something, people running in the street or like a race, but something happened later on. Is that stuff confiscated? Whoever was in charge, they got the rights to actually film it. Yeah. And all that information is given to the law enforcement and the court.
That's a very good question. You know, when something like that happens and it's on video, there's basically procedural processes that collects all that evidence, and a lot of that evidence is used in court. It's used as part of the investigatory process. And I think the actual video was instrumental in identifying the individual because they knew the actual proximity of where the bullet came from. They knew the trajectory where the bullet came from. Then they was able to go back to that scene and then conduct a thorough investigation of cleaning up the scene area, and then they found the evidence. I think they found the weapon also, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
And so you had the fingerprints on the evidence.
According to the president.
All according to the press now.
Yeah, right.
You know, so we don't know for sure.
According to the president of the United States. Yeah.
Yeah. So so the evidentiary process was put in place, and the video will be part of that actual investigation. So that you are correct. You are correct, sir.
Okay, so law enforcement is in charge, or the court is in charge to give information to the press.
Well, first of all,
the press pick what they want to give to the public.
Well, it's different entities. The president of the United States is the executive branch. The president can say what he wants because basically he's the executive branch, and he can give information as is disseminated to him. From a law enforcement standpoint, you know, we kind of hold our cards close to the vest until actual evidence is analyzed, actual interrogations are taking place, and basically till you utilize all your resources to the optimal efficiency and bring the case to fruition. So when you talk to law enforcement, their message will probably be different than the executive branch or as a judiciary. Normally, the judiciary does not even talk about the trials publicly because they have to have a semblance of unbiasedness. So basically, they're just the trial of the facts. Now, if it's a jury trial, the judge will act as the mediator during the trial. If it's a judge trial, then the judge will make the actual decision as he weighs all the evidence. But when you look at it from that perspective, we're a long ways from that point. So right now, law enforcement is going to just give you basic information. You know, this president was very specific, you know, but I don't think law enforcement is going to be going to that type of specificity until they, you know, analyze the evidence just a little bit more.
Yeah, that's what I was just calling for, because since social media is so popular, the media will keep forcing questions every time they see them. Yeah, that's it. It seems like stuff got worse with the. Well, thank y'all anyway.
Well, we thank you. Thank you for calling in, Rayburn. We appreciate your comments, your questions. You raised really good points. Really good points. Appreciate your sticking with us and particularly calling in.
Okay.
Have a great day. Yeah. Oh, boy. So this is just, it's one of those situations where not just day by day will there be new developments, but across the day. So we're something like this with this announcement by the President of the United States on Fox News. There will be other things that will develop and across the day. A lot of questions that people will want to know. And, one of the things that I want to point out that, you never know what in particular causes someone to walk down a path to kill someone, or what causes someone to walk down a path to be as racist, my opinion, as racist as Charlie Kirk became. And I'll use an example. Charlie Kirk and I share something in common.
What is that?
I'm an Eagle Scout.
Wow. Wow. I did not know that. That is impressive.
Charlie Kirk is an Eagle Scout.
That is one
national program. Like any other organization, these are the qualifications, these are the requirements, these are the things that you do, and you advance to this and this and this, and you have to earn this and this and this. Well, he's younger than me, so the requirements changed a bit over time, but essentially the same thing has been in place for decades. Here's an Eagle Scout.
Wow.
I'm an Eagle Scout, but we are so different. We are so different. I was in the marching band at St. Aug. He was captain of his basketball team.
Wow.
I was not an athlete. I was a band guy. He played varsity football. He was also in the marching band. I mean, where did this come from? I don't know. We don't know. We'll continue to learn more about Charlie Kirk because a bunch of us could have cared less about Charlie Kirk, but then he makes the news because of yet another racist thing that he says. And it's not just racism. It's homophobic. It's putting women down, even though he has a wife and kids. He's done this across years and years and years. But we'll keep watching for developments on that. I do want to bring to your attention that just yesterday, the black mayor of Memphis went on media to say that he's heard reports that National Guard is headed to his city next.
Oh, okay.
And he's asked for the governor's help to help stop this, and that he doesn't want people in army fatigues to come to the city, his city, and be front-facing with his citizens. So we'll share some more about that with you before we get off. Meanwhile, we got to go to break, and after the break, we'll be hearing from our friends at Liberty Bank, Attorney Peter Hamilton Jr., Dr. Ann Duplessis, and Dr. Angel Thibodeau Burns. Again, Attorney Peter Hamilton Jr., Ann Duplessis, and Dr. Angel Thibodeau Burns from Liberty Bank. They will be with us in just a moment. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
WBOK New Orleans, home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Black House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries warns Republicans they'll regret reopening the January 6th probe.
Donald Trump and House Republicans are now determined to whitewash that day that will always live in infamy.
Jeffries tapped Eric Swalwell to lead Democrats on the new subcommittee, joined by Jasmine Crockett and Jared Moskowitz. The black man seen in a viral Jacksonville, Florida traffic stop video is suing the city and the arresting officer. Will McNeil Jr.'s lawyers also want a DOJ investigation after video showed him punched and dragged from his car during the February stop. And Joe Budden is on a potential witness list in Megan Thee Stallion's upcoming defamation trial. Blogger Milagro Grams faces claims she spread false stories during Tory Lanez 2022 case. The trial begins November 17th. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Join New Schools for New Orleans, All-State Sugar Bowl, and Entergy New Orleans in recognizing and celebrating the Teachers of the Year at our 4th Annual New Orleans Excellence in Teaching Awards Gala. The gala will take place Saturday, November 1st at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. This year's gala will feature New Orleans legend DJ Jubilee. Don't miss out on this intimate celebration supporting our New Orleans public school teachers. Tickets can be purchased on our website, newschoolsforneworleans.org.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK. Good morning, New Orleans. This is Will Sutton, and with me here, of course, is Chief Eddie Compass. Why are you here, Chief?
I'm here to hear you.
All righty. So we are here to hear you. You are hearing our voices, but we love when you call in and we can hear yours. The number is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. With us right now are our friends from Liberty Bank, and we've got a trio of friends with us this morning, and they're going to help you and help us with some very important information, talking about wills and trusts and successions. And, you know, this is some of the stuff that's, very basic and fundamental that too many of us just wait until it's too late or don't take care of the business. So we want you to be in the percentage of people who take care of these things and get these things in place, and they are here to help us. So we have Attorney Peter Hamilton Jr. with us. We have Ann Duplessis, and we have Angel Thibodeau Burns with us today. Ms. Duplessis is on the phone, and we have the others in the studios. Good morning, Ann.
Good morning. I'm so sorry I couldn't be with you guys this morning.
Well, it's lovely to hear your voice, and thank you for joining us. We're going to ask for those folks who haven't heard you in a while or haven't heard from you to tell us who your mama and them. Where you from? Where are you from?
You start off, Ann.
Yeah.
I know you like to talk, so you go first.
Is that my big brother?
That's your big brother, Eddie Compass, the one who put those karate hose on you when I was practicing for self-defense.
That's gonna be for another show.
Yeah. Me and my sister were best friends in high school.
All right.
So good morning, everybody. Listen, thank you guys very much. As you said, this is an extremely important topic. It's
And
extremely
who are
important.
you?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Ann Duplessis, and I'm Senior Vice President of Bank Administration with Liberty Bank.
Where are you from?
I'm from New Orleans, baby.
What ward?
New Orleans East.
What ward?
New Orleans East. I don't know.
All right,
what,
that's
what
fine.
is the ward?
What high school did you go to?
I went to Xavier Prep, baby.
All right. Angel, who your mama and them? Good morning.
Thibodeau Burns. I'm so excited to
Dr.
be here.
Thibodeau.
Oh yeah, that's true too. That's true too. But anyway, I grew up in the 7th Ward and in New Orleans East. So proud to claim the 7th Ward and the East. Yes, indeed.
All right. What high school?
Ursuline.
All right.
Yes.
Very nice. Okay. Come on.
Okay, I'm Peter Hamilton. I'm an attorney, a real estate broker, and an appraiser. Been an attorney for about 35 years and a real estate broker for 50 years. I was born and raised in Homer, Louisiana.
Homer in the house. Okay.
And I went to high school at Vanderbilt Catholic in Homer.
Oh, cool.
I only got to New Orleans because I went to school at UNO.
And been here since?
And been here ever since. My wife is from New Orleans, and she didn't want to go back to Homer, so we had to.
You must like us, or you must love her.
Well, we've been married almost 50 years.
Yeah, right.
So by
All
him
right.
saying that, that's Big Pete.
Yeah.
Lil Pete is his son who's a lawyer, too, that I used to coach.
Yes,
But this is the real Peter Hamilton.
Yeah. Well, let's cut to the business, folks, and
All right.
let's talk about wills, trust, and successions. Of course, Liberty Bank does so many things to help the customers and to help the community, which
That's
we
right.
thank you for. But today we're going to focus on those things. So start us off and tell us some of the basics, and then we'll continue talking about it.
Yeah, well, it's all about protecting your assets. No matter how large, how small, you've got to protect your assets. You've worked your entire life. You have children, you have grandchildren, and you want things to go the way that you've planned for your family. And so that's why these topics are so important. So I'll defer to my Uncle Pete to take it from here.
Well, the subject matter is really law and your legacy. We have a difficult time establishing generational wealth in our community. And I think the purpose and the reason the bank asked me to participate is that we wanted to talk about how we can establish that generational wealth and what are some of the tools that we use to get us to that point. One of the early things that Ann and I were talking about not just a few minutes ago is the need for a power of attorney, especially as you get older. She's talked about how people come in to the bank with different types of power of attorneys. If you come into the bank with a power of attorney, it needs to say that you can handle the affairs in the bank. It does. A general power of attorney is probably what you need, but some folks have only a health power of attorney, or they may only have a power of attorney related to some other care. We want to work on making sure that when individuals do come into the bank, that they have the proper power of attorneys in place.
And Pete, man, if I can,
Absolutely, Ann.
I think what's really important about that, not only is getting the proper power of attorney, but once you and your loved one have decided you will be handling my affairs if I became incapacitated, sick, it's important for you to come to the bank at that time immediately with that fresh power of attorney and add your name to the account. What we see oftentimes is that people will go through the motions, get the power of attorney, and then hold it. And, a year later when the loved one is sick or cannot communicate with us, so we require them to then go back to the attorney to get that power of attorney reaffirmed. We want to ensure that the person is indeed still alive and that this power of attorney is still in full force. But you're good if you come in, add your name to the account as POA, and have it there in the event for future needs.
I think the number one lesson on power of attorney is that once the individual has passed away, the power of attorney is no longer in effect. At that point, you need to have other estate planning in place to take care of the deceased affairs. And that's where we'll move on at some point into discussion on wills, trusts, and making a decision on whether or not which one is best for you.
Yeah, my dad is 94 years old, and I have friends who have parents who are in their 80s and 90s and even pushing 100. Wow. One with a parent who's 102 and still driving.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Right. But, you know, I mean, there are different stages for your loved one.
Yes.
And so some of it might be that they are perfectly fine. They're doing very well. They've slowed down physically. They've always liked to take care of their bank affairs. They drive to the bank.
Yes.
They want to talk with a certain person. They want to write and, you know, so forth. But then that slows down. They can't go as often, or then they can't drive, and it changes things. So I think that's part of what you're talking about. I mean, there are transition opportunities.
Yes. Here. And there's a lot of trust involved with power of attorney. You have to trust the person who you are signing over to power of attorney, because they're going to advocate for you and they're going to make some important decisions. So there has to be a lot of trust. So if there's some unsettled relationships and things like that, all those things need to be ironed out before you set up a power of attorney. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ann, you want to add?
Yeah,
in?
no. Yeah, absolutely. I think that to Angela's point, when you are choosing who you want to handle your affairs, you have to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that that person is going to be honorable with regards to the power that you've given them. But I think at the end of the day, if you've decided that there's going to be someone who will be handling your affairs in the event that you're getting to the point where you can't, or you're slowing down, that power of attorney should be added to the account as soon as you get it, and that way there is no question when you do need to come in and ask for balances or get funds out to care for your loved one.
And Ann, I know you talked a lot to me about the importance of the beneficiaries in partnership with the power of attorney. Can you talk a little bit more about that, about the power of the beneficiary?
Well, that's a little bit different, and that's where actually it's a good segue into, what happens after, a person's death. Pete can begin talking a little bit about why a will, because is important. A will, I think, is the focal point for everything that relates to what you want to have happen when you die, what you want, who you want to handle your affairs, and what you want them to do with it when you die. So maybe we can talk about that, and then how adding a beneficiary or payable on death on your account is part of that strategy.
When you talk about wills, it's something that's very important. And so one of the questions I know the viewers, the listeners want to know is, what provisions are in place through Liberty Bank that give the individuals who actually are receiving the money through the will the options as it relates to receiving the money that would have the least amount of tax implications once they receive the money. Because a lot of time with wills, if they're not written in a certain way when they disseminate the funds, I know some of them are taxed more than others under certain provisions within the will. So what Can you elaborate on exactly what do you guys do from a perspective of letting the individuals know their options?
Well, when
So
there's
that's Pete's expertise. So we're
well,
gonna
let
let
me
Pete
tell you,
take that one.
when there's a will or a trust, we'll talk since you're talking about a will. The will is revalued, or at least the estate is revalued as of the time of death. So I'll give you an example. If for a period of time an individual had stock and they bought the stock for $100, and now the stock is worth $1,200. The bottom line is, if that individual had sold the stock themselves, they would have had a capital gain. They would have paid taxes on. However, when an individual dies, it's as of the date of death. So if the stock was worth $1,200 or whatever the value was at that time, that is an equal transfer, and there would be no tax obligation. Currently, Louisiana has no inheritance tax that's due. The federal government has inheritance tax that's due when your estate is over, I think it's over $13 million now. So I think most of us won't have to worry about paying taxes. I know my children won't have to worry about paying taxes.
Right.
Thank you.
And so what are some of the other elements that people need to consider with wills? Let's say somebody realized very early on in their 40s that maybe it was a good idea to have a will. Mm-hmm. And they did it. And they have no idea where it is.
Well, I would recommend that they probably would try to do a new will and then revoke all prior wills. I will tell you, the wills, there's always the discussion. We have this discussion with my son, Ryan. Ryan is also a lawyer, by the way.
Wow.
And,
Man.
Of whether or not an individual should have a will or a trust. Mm-hmm. And there are advantages to both. I think Angel asked me a question earlier, whether or not trust should be limited to the uber wealthy. Is that what you said?
Oh, yeah.
I have no idea what uber wealthy, but I assume that it's somebody with a lot of money.
Big ball.
Big ball.
Yeah.
Big ball.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We're talking Elon Musk.
Okay.
Right.
Well, trust can be for everyone. It's not, if you have assets, then you can consider a trust. And there are advantages and disadvantages depending upon your circumstance. I will tell you that if you have assets, money in the bank, you own a house, you need to have either a will or a trust. If you are a blended family with children from multiple marriages,
right?
You really need to have a will or a trust to dictate what direction you go in. If you don't have either of those, then the movement of your assets will be determined by Louisiana Civil Code. So in order for you to do something different than the Louisiana Civil Code has instructed for descendants to receive, you need to put a will in place. Now, talk about the advantages. A will and the trust, a power of attorney. To do a will today is a lot cheaper to do a will than a trust. But in a trust, you can dictate how you want your assets or control how the beneficiaries handle the assets. In a will, when you will it to them and you will your child $50,000, you can't dictate in a will how they spend that $50,000. In a trust, you could say it could be used for educational fund, distribution. On the back end, my son, Ryan, he thinks that trusts are kind of a better avenue because there's more control over the assets while you're living. One of the disadvantages, though, is that, Ann and I had this discussion a little earlier too, is that individuals, when you establish a trust, you need to transfer all of your assets into that trust.
All
all of your assets.
Oh, so you can't have your cake and eat
You
it too.
can't get it both ways. Now, I'm not going to, it's too deep to get in a discussion about revocable versus irrevocable trust. That's a little bit more detail to get into.
Maybe a conversation for another day.
Conversation for another day.
Yeah.
But the cost of a trust is on the front end.
Yeah.
The cost of a succession is on the back end. When you do the will, you have a succession. When someone passes away, then that's where the expense is.
Yeah, I have a friend.
I think that the main thing from the bank's perspective is once you've decided whether you're going to have a will or a trust, if you move into doing a trust, then when we say putting your assets in the trust, that means you have to go to the bank, you have to bring those trust documents, and you have to tell the banker, I need to retitle my account from Pete Hamilton to irrevocable trust of Pete Hamilton. And that does not take away, even though I heard you guys saying, meaning all of my assets have to go in, yes, but all we're doing is retitling. You are still 9.5 times out of 10, you are still in control of that money because you typically name yourself as trustee. And so as trustee, you still have all of the same rights to doing whatever it is you need to do with that account than that you had when it was just in your name personally. The trust just allows for someone else after you pass to have what they call a successor trustee, someone else to manage those dollars that you've placed in that vehicle. Okay. But it is important to come to the bank and retitle all of your accounts to place them in the trust. We actually had a situation the other day where a person had done the trust, gone through all of the steps, but never came to the bank. And so when the successor trustee came to close the account and to put it, to handle the affairs, we told him you have to go open succession because those funds are not in trust. He never came and retitled. So that's why it's very important that you follow the instructions.
Chief?
Yeah, I have a very good question for you because a lot of people ask me about this. For liquid assets, when liquid assets are involved in the trust, they're very easily distributed. But when you're talking about liquid assets that's not liquid, such as stocks and bonds, do they have the option to cash them in, or do they have to let it go out to their fruition, or whether it's like in a mutual fund or something? I know there's penalties for taking mutual funds out before their age of maturity. So what is the process when it's like that?
When it's in the trust?
When it's in the trust.
When it's in the trust, it should just go through the fruition till they get to the end.
So they can't take it out early. Okay.
Well, they wouldn't. If they took it out early, they would have that penalty that we're talking about in a tax penalty. Now, different assets are handled different. Each one is handled different. So bank accounts would go normally to the individual beneficiary. Stocks that would also go, but they would have to go if they had a period of time. Right. They would need to finish off that without being penalized. The choice. There are a lot of reasons. We don't have enough time today to talk about all the different reasons. Right. But I always try to suggest that you need to make a plan.
Right.
And if you don't have a plan, you're not in the right direction. The old saying, if he who fails to plan plans to fail.
Right.
So we need to work into that direction. If you have assets, you need to make some decision one way or the other, whether you want to go wills, trusts, and as I mentioned earlier, the more complicated your family dynamics is, the more you need to look into these.
We got a call from Reverend Calhoun in the Lower Ninth Ward. Good morning, Reverend Calhoun.
Good morning to all. I have a question concerning the power of attorney. If you give a person a power of attorney, and next thing you know that most of your money is gone, what's the remedy there? Can you go after that person? And I'm just trying to find out about, is there any particular rules concerning the power of attorney if they determine that they're going to take the money that you've entrusted them with, your finances?
I think Angel answered that question for you earlier, Rev. She said when you are establishing a power of attorney, you need to make sure you can trust that person because, there's a lawsuit maybe that you can file, but you're giving this person the full authority to handle your affairs. And if that person actually steals your money, then that puts you into a process where you would probably need to file a lawsuit or even establish that at some point earlier you revoke that power of attorney. As Ann was talking about, Ann said the bank likes to verify that these power of attorneys that keep coming to the bank are still valid. She sees a power of attorney that's 2 or 3 or 4 years old, and she wants to have some affidavit to make sure that that power of attorney is still good. I would only suggest that maybe you consult an attorney, and if that has already happened to someone, it's difficult because power of attorney does involve a level of trust.
We have just a few
All right,
more
now
minutes.
can I leave anybody I want? Because I think in the will you got to identify your beneficiary. But if I decided that I didn't want one of my kids to be to benefit from my money, can that person just be automatically left out, or do they have to be listed also in the will?
You can leave your children. You can leave your children out as long as they do not suffer from a physical or mental handicap, and they are not under the age of 24. Other than that, if you can leave all your children out if they don't meet that criteria.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Reverend Calhoun. Let's be in touch soon. Have a great day.
All right.
Yeah.
I think this is a great segue to mention Liberty Bank has this great resource. It's called Our Money Matters, and it's all things money. And so whatever stage of life you're in, if you're a young family, you just graduated from college, you're getting ready for retirement, no matter what stage you are in life, go to Liberty Bank's website, libertybank.net, and you click resources and you'll find it. You sign up. It's a free resource. And if you want to learn more about trust, wills, successions, power of attorney, just all money matters, just go there and, it's a great resource. It's awesome.
I better mention to you that my daughter, Kelsey Hamilton, is also an attorney, too.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, let me mention this. If I didn't say that she was an attorney and I only named the boys, I'd be in trouble.
Well, now you got me in trouble. My daughter, Lorette, is about to go to law school, who went to school with your children. So there you go.
Yes,
right.
indeed.
All right. Well, man, a lot of information. I guess we could use an hour and a half. But it's been great to have Attorney Peter Hamilton Jr. and Duplessis Angel Thibodeau Burns with us this morning. Thank you, Ann, for making it happen on the phone. We would have loved to have had you here in studio, but this is the next best thing, and it's wonderful to have heard your voice and have you with us for this segment. Some powerful information. A lot of good information.
Yes.
Now it's up to you folks to take action based on what you've heard this morning. And one of those things you can do is go to libertybank.net and look for Our Money Matters.
That's it.
And you can start there and follow up on what you heard this morning and get your stuff straight.
It's never too soon. Never too soon.
All right. So we're going to be going to break. And after the break, we will be coming back and we're going to be hearing from Amir Barak, a young man that Chief has known for a long time. And we're going to be hearing from him soon. Earlier in the hour, we were talking about the black mayor of Memphis saying that he hopes the National Guard isn't coming his way based on what he's been hearing from his governor and others. Well, guess what? Just this morning, President Donald Trump said he's sending the National Guard to Memphis, Tennessee.
Wow.
So L.A., D.C., now Memphis, they're on their way to your place. Watch out, New Orleans.
Wow.
Watch out. This is growing. All right. You're listening to WBOK, 12:30 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Good morning and happy Friday. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News, and here's a look at today's headlines. Later this morning, Mayor LaToya Cantrell's former bodyguard will be arraigned in court. Jeffrey Vappy is accused alongside the mayor in what prosecutors describe as a years-long scheme to conceal an affair while the two traveled on the taxpayer's dime. Vappy must appear in federal court at 10 a.m. Cantrell already pleaded not guilty to the charges against her on Wednesday. Then a New Orleans mother will be back in court facing charges related to her 12-year-old son's death. Hilda Vasquez is charged with negligent homicide and second-degree cruelty to a juvenile. Her son Brian was found dead in a lagoon days after he went missing from his New Orleans East home. Hilda was ordered to have no contact with her other children and will have to enroll in a domestic abuse program. Today's hearing is set for 3 p.m. And following a slew of threats made to college campuses yesterday, including Southern University in Baton Rouge, Southern University New Orleans is postponing a groundbreaking ceremony for its new nursing building that was originally scheduled for today. SUNO officials say there was no threat made toward them, but the decision was made as a precaution. And that's a look at today's headlines. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News. Have a great day and a better weekend.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
New Orleans is stuck. We've got a cost of living crisis, and the same old politicians are out here asking for our vote. I'm Pastor Gregory Manning, and I'm running for City Council at large in Division 2 to bring the power of the people back to City Hall. Together, we can fight for affordable housing, bring down high utility bills, fix our streets, and put people before profit. On October the 11th, we'll get New Orleans unstuck by voting for Pastor Gregory Manning for City Council at large in Division 2. My ballot number is number 32, paid for by Friends of Gregory Manning.
What's the future for New Orleans? Will city services ever function efficiently? Our people need answers, not slogans. That's why the Nonpartisan City Services Coalition has asked the candidates for mayor how they plan to fix city government. Want to know what they said? Go to cityservicescoalition.com to see for yourself. It's time for action, not excuses. The next step is yours.
Paid for by the City Services Coalition.
A careless driver can change your life in an instant. Do you know what to do or who to call? If you've been injured in a motor vehicle accident and do not have an attorney, call Auto Accident Help Desk for a free consultation. We can answer all of your questions and estimate the potential value of your case. Call Auto Accident Help Desk and connect with an expert personal injury attorney.
Call 800-269-4524. 800-269-4524.
Don't worry how to handle your medical bills, lost wages, and pain. We will get you the money you deserve.
They got me way more than the insurance company offered.
The consultation is free, and you do not pay any legal fees unless we win or settle your case. Make the smart call. If you've been injured in an auto accident, call Auto Accident Help Desk for a free legal consultation.
Call 800-269-4524. 800-269-4524. 800-269-4524.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. This is WBOK 1230 AM. You're hearing our voices, but we'd like to hear yours. 504-582-9422. 504-582-9422. So if you got something on your mind, on your heart, you got a question, well, you might have a question or a comment on this next segment. Boy, this is going to be a good one, Chief. This is Will Sutton, and with me is Chief Eddie Compass. And I'm going to let him tell you just a little bit about what we're about to do.
Well, I've been in law enforcement for 46 years, and Mr. Amir Barak is the most incredible young man I have ever come across in 46 years. He's someone who was incarcerated for murder as a young child. He was part of the society of violence, and he literally turned his whole life around where he's one of the most productive individuals and the greatest role model for rehabilitation in the United States of America. He and I travel all over the country, but I'm going to let him talk because we definitely need to hear his story because it's incredible.
All right, so before you get right into the story, before any of that happened, who your mama and them? Where are you from? Who your folks?
I'm from out of the Calio Housing Projects, and my mother's name is Antoinette Harris. My daddy's name is Otis LaSalle Harris. But we come from a very small family, so we're not like, it was just no family members in the Melford and Calio. I mean, in other projects. We're a very small family.
Yeah.
My dad's parents were from Gonzales, so everyone is out in Gonzales.
Okay.
The Norvilles.
Right. High school?
Booker T. Washington.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. So, on with your story.
Oh, you wanted me to jump right into it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yes, indeed.
Well, growing up here in New Orleans, man, was pretty tough, not because of the environment. It was basically because of my inability to read and write fluently. My brother, Deshaun Harris and Rashawn Harris, were precocious learners. They read very early on. They enjoyed school. They ran out of the projects hallways to school because they were able to compete in the classroom, and I wasn't. And so I hated school, and I began to cut school in the third grade because of my inability to read. I was spanked a lot because I would assume that my mother thought I wasn't trying hard enough, but no one knew that I was dyslexic. And so that turned into me trying to find a way out at an early age. And I would see guys selling drugs, and I'm like, okay, that's my way out. Like so many other kids right now today who struggle with literacy issues. And I embarked upon that journey of being a drug dealer, and that's what I thought I wanted to be, and it was a pipe dream. Ran into some very difficult times. I got on heroin and coke at 14. Started snorting cocaine, then I got on heroin, and one thing led to another. I was spiraling out of control, got into an altercation, used a gun on a guy, did some horrible things that I regret to this day. And I began to live that type of lifestyle. Now, to top that, I was also listening to rap music, which really sort of egged me on. Kill that nigga, kill him, knock his brains out, right? So you imagine you being on drugs, you're young, you're susceptible, and you're listening to this type of music. It was so influential. And so I did time for that, got out, still couldn't read or couldn't write, and got back into drug life again, right? Because of poor literacy skills. I couldn't function. I couldn't fill out an application. I couldn't spell. And so I found a safe place in the penitentiary. I felt good going to jail. It was like, okay, everybody else here can't read just like me, so this is where I belong, right? Self-imposed limitation, a lot of distorted thinking. And I found myself there being very, very comfortable. And the lights came on. There was a guy named Norman Spooner. I'd entered the penal system at 23 years old as an adult this time, after getting out as a juvenile at 15 for the manslaughter. Went back to prison as an adult this time. I'm 23. I'm reading on a third grade level. A guy named Norman Spooner out of the St. Bernard Housing Project had an immense vocabulary, sort of like Chief. And I was fascinated with this guy. This guy was educated, but he was a heroin user. But he was my mentor. And so Norman, I would walk the yard with him constantly, and he would tell me, he knew my dad. He knew my dad was a smart guy. My dad was extremely brilliant, but he was an addict, right? And so Norman began to tell me all these positive things about myself. Amir, man, you somebody. I see you doing great things. No one never told me that. No one never told me they saw great things in me. I guess they never did because I never showed that. But the thing is, the thing about it being a mentor, right? What a mentor does is he looks beyond your faults and see your capabilities. And that's just how what God does. God looks beyond our faults and he see the good in us. And Norman began to tell me certain things and I started to believe it. I started to believe like I was special. He said, man, you special. You're not like everybody else. And I'm like, I'm special. He said, you special. Changed my life.
Yeah.
That was the seed that needed to be sowed. And so now I said, you know what? I want to learn to read. So during my 4-year reprieve there at Avoyes Correctional Facility, I would write down thousands of words. Yesterday, today, Wednesday. Any word I didn't know, I wrote it down. And every day I would go over those words. And I placed those words in my mind. So when I see them, I know them and I know how to spell them. So I taught myself to read. I became enthralled with education. I wanted to be educated. That's where the power is at. The power is in education. The power is in being able to articulate what it is you want and don't want. And so there was a white gentleman that I had met. He was an art thief. He got everything he wanted in prison. I'm like, man, how do you get everything you want? Here's what he told me. He said, Amir, you people can't talk. Listen. Many will take that as an insult, but I knew exactly where he was coming from because dudes in jail, what's up, Warden, dog, what's happening? You don't talk that way. Good morning, Warden. How are you, sir? That's how he was able to get everything. Then I started emulating him, and I started getting what I want. Yeah. It was language. See, language is the new currency. Right. And our people need to know that. All this getting on television, what's up, dog, what's happening? You heard me? No, man. That's for the ignorant. That's not who we are. Those people talk like that. I call them bottom feeders.
Now, one thing I want you to really elaborate upon, once you got out, how you imparted that knowledge to young people through the Circle of Courage program that we put together in the school system for kids at risk, how they emulated you and the respect they had for you while we were able to do that program because of you.
Well, it was very important that the knowledge that I had acquired there in the prison system, I took that knowledge into the school system that Chief had so wonderfully crafted, called the Circle of Courage. He got that grant into the school, so there was ex-offenders that went into that school and began to deal with some of these high-risk children, man. And we taught a curriculum called the Psychology of Incarceration, but along with our experiences, right? And along with being loving and kind and patient. See, good mentors are patient. I didn't look at those kids as being bad and barbaric. Right. I looked at them, they were just wayward children that had antisocial values. And now it was my job as a mentor and as a teacher, right, to curve that slowly and gradually through love and patience and kindness. And so we did a fantastic job over at Booker T. Washington, and we tried to duplicate that in other schools, and we had a great thing going. Unfortunately, some things collapsed up under us, but I won't elaborate on that. But listen, I don't believe children are born bad. I don't believe children are born criminals. It is the conditions, man. It is the environment. Environment impacts your thinking. It does not control your thinking. it impacts your thinking. But if a child is born, and that child is born in a household where parents are being derelict in their duty, more than likely, man, that kid is going to sway.
And
so multiple things, man.
And see, when we talk about from a law enforcement perspective, I always talk about there's 3 factors of motivated offender, victim, and absence of guardianship. Well, the absence of guardianship is the police. The victim is the person, but the education of the motivated offender is the linchpin that we have, law enforcement has not really seized upon. Because if you unmotivate somebody like Amir, who is brilliant, to do something positive instead of negative, something noteworthy instead of nefarious, he is the shining example of the bridge that transcends the street, academia, and government. And when I would bring Amir around, people could not believe his transformation. And like I said, I grew up in those streets too, but I had people that got me at St. Augustine at a young age where I didn't have to go into that world. My cousins, because he knows all my cousins were drug dealers and killers, but they sheltered me for that. Mm-hmm. But Amir has reached the pinnacle going the hard way. Now I explained to him now, what are you doing now? You're a professional actor. You're doing things in the community. So expound on that.
Currently, this whole year, the last few years, man, I've been very successful in going around the country, being the keynote speakers on dyslexia. 1 in 5 people are dyslexic. Our prison systems are replete with illiterate men. Many of them are dyslexic. Mm-hmm. And so it's a huge issue in this country that Black people are completely oblivious of. When you ask a person what is dyslexia, they have no idea. When I go to these gatherings, there's thousands of white people who are aware of dyslexia. It's a reading disability, man, that impacts your writing and comprehension, and reading ability, but it can be remediated. I was remediated. And so once a person becomes literate, man, that's when you become free. So I'm a free man today. You're not sitting here talking to a fool. A fool can't sit here on this radio station and talk to you.
Right.
It's got to be a free man.
Yeah.
And so by God's mercy and God's grace, man, I liberated myself through literacy. So that needs to be propagated throughout this nation. And it's a huge issue right now. President Donald Trump, when he was in office, the first time, he signed the First Step Act. My story was intertwined with that. So what that meant was Senator Bill Cassidy told Donald Trump about my story, and they passed a law that every federal inmate needs to be screened for dyslexia. That's good. But why wait till a person gets to prison to be screened for dyslexia?
Exactly.
We need to start screening people in the first, second, and third grade.
And that's what our mission was when we were in the school system, and you look at it from that perspective, we've been very proactive. So when you're proactive, you don't have to be reactive. But, now that has evolved into things that you're doing that's off the charts that people never thought you could do. Like, talk about your acting career.
Well, currently I'm on a television show with Tyler Perry. It's called Zatima. It's our 4th season.
First of all, for getting it. then again, for 4th season?
4th season.
Hey.
It's the 4th season. We just had the premiere. We had the premiere on Wednesday. On Tuesday. We had the premiere. Beautiful premiere, man. Things are going well. I play a character called Jeremiah. Jeremiah is a drug addict, right? Here's how, it's such a blessing because on the show, my mother and I use drugs. In real life, my dad and I used drugs and sold drugs. So I had a nexus with this character from the inception. And I do a fantastic job, not tooting my own horn.
I'll toot it.
Well, I do a fantastic job because that's in my toolbox. Right. Your experiences, right? As an actor, whatever your experiences are, you put that in your toolbox. And when the time comes, you unearth that and you can play that character because you know how to draw from those emotions.
Right.
Also, my character is dyslexic. He's a dyslexic person, so this is why he's in and out of jail. This is why he's often on drugs, because there's a shame that he has about himself because he's not literate. So he's struggling with that, those self-imposed limitations, those distorted thinking that he has, right? And so those antisocial values that he's dealing with. And I'm looking to see this character evolve to become like the Amir who I am today.
That's wonderful.
That's wonderful. Yeah. So I have another show that's coming out called Jupiter Jones that comes out in March of next year. It's a spinoff of the show that I did titled A House Divided. So I have a few projects that's coming out, man. But I'm really stoked about that. But more importantly, my biggest mission, man, is to get the word out about dyslexia and going to prisons and school and help others. Acting is just a platform to say, okay, I'm an actor.
To give you that opportunity to share the message, to help people.
There you go.
If you've got an issue, you got a situation, how do you others know what to do unless they know about it?
Absolutely.
Unless you know about it.
Right.
You discovered that I'm guessing that around third grade, you weren't really quite sure what it was.
I didn't know what it was. I knew that I had to be dumb because I was called that so frequently, right? And because
you weren't.
I was not dumb.
But you were listening to what people were saying.
That's the power of words, man. If you tell a child you stupid, you're dumb, you'll never be nothing. That child will believe that because words are they're seeds. It's particularly on a child.
I remember when we first were getting the curriculum together, one thing I told all of you guys, I said, the jargon and parlance of prison is not going to be used in this school.
Yeah.
I said, we're going to not engage these kids in conversations. We're going to engage them in colloquies. We're going to do this from a position where you are behavior interventionists. You're not ex-offenders.
Yeah.
And you're going to take on the role of a teacher, and we're going to get into a pedagogical environment where you are going to excel. And what you did was tremendous, man. I couldn't be more proud of you.
My son is 30 now.
Mm-hmm.
When he was in high school, well, first of all, before he was in high school, part of our raising him was to tell him we're going to respect people and call them by their name. If they want to be called Mr. This or Mr. That, that's what we will call them. Mm-hmm. They want to be called Adam or Jenny. That's what we will call them. And so he was used to this for years. He got into high school, and he introduced us to a friend. He said, "This is my friend, Stupid."
Wow.
I said, "Well, but what's your name?" Stupid. I like to be called Stupid. That's what people call me. I said, "Son, we're breaking the rule. I am not going to call your friend stupid."
Yeah.
Yes, that's the rule. But now we've clarified that there have to be some kind of exception.
Yeah.
Because I'm just meeting this guy. I am not doing that.
Right. It's. I had a friend. They call him. He's dead now. They call him Dodo. A dodo. You know what a dodo bird is? Mm-hmm. Puts his head. It's a dumb bird. He puts his head in the ground. So for years, people call him Dodo. And I'm like, oh my God, words are very powerful. He's dead now. He's done a lot of crazy things. Mm-hmm. You know? Yeah, we got to change. We got to change that, man. We got to change the way we think. But there's this juggernaut of influence to be ignorant in the culture. The music is just violent. Kill him. Do whatever, rob him. And people listen to this stuff, man.
Yeah.
And music executives pay black boys to make violent black music.
Right.
I want you to make violent. I don't want you to say anything positive. I want you to make violent black music. Meek Mills, who's a prominent rapper, he said they pay them more money when they make violent rap music.
Right.
Kill that nigga. Kill him. Knock his brains out.
Right.
That's what these executives want.
And we were adamant about getting that out that school system, especially the kids that was at risk. And man,
dangerous.
You guys, we sir, yes sir. We would call the kids sir and yes sir, and we changed their whole minds.
Oh yeah, we did a phenomenal job over at Booker Washington, man. That program should have been replicated throughout the country.
Exactly. I used to tell them we're going to have an army of sesquipedalians. Say, what's that? I said, people who love long words. And I told them words are power and currency. And they got it. And we would bring them places. They were so well-behaved. People would say, man, these young men are well-behaved. They'd be well-dressed. And people didn't even know they were ex-offenders. And not one of those kids recidivated. And we basically, the currency Amir and I used was love. Love. And when we tell a young black man we love him, some of them started crying. Because, you know, that's one thing. We don't tell our kids we love them. You know, as a police chief, I would walk up to kids and tell them I love them and hug them, and it was like they didn't know how to react.
Yeah.
And when we did that in the schools, we got some of those violent kids in this city, and we got black men telling these young kids we love them, and they felt it. Because it's got to be real.
It's got to be real. Yeah.
Can't be phony.
No.
And, you know, I just been so blessed. Like I said, Don Hubbard, Big Duck, all these people embraced me as a child, so I didn't have to go through what Amir went through. But I wasn't special. I was lucky. And Amir, he is lucky and he's special because he's lucky that he didn't die in that system. And he's special because God has used him as an example to every one of these kids. And like when they talk about how bad they are, let me tell you something. Y'all play gangsters. Amir was a real gangster, and he knew that wasn't the way. So don't emulate that part of him. Emulate the intellectual side of him. Emulate the successful side of him. And this is what we use as basically the template to change this whole system. Unfortunately, the funding was revoked because, like I said, I just couldn't understand it to this day. But, you know, we did a lot of good in the 2-3 years we had the money.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Powerful, powerful story. Congratulations on all that you've done in these successive parts of your development to get to the point where you are on a 4th season of a television show. There's so many that are only pilots. And don't get picked up.
Don't get picked up. Yeah.
And then get started and get ended before the guaranteed 13 weeks or whatever to get a full season and then a second, a third, and a 4th.
I've been blessed, man.
That is good. And then to get other work, that is good.
Absolutely.
And so congratulations, young brother.
Thank you many
I'm
times.
happy for you and proud of you. And keep sharing your powerful message. Chief, we've had a great show this morning with Attorney Peter Hamilton Jr., Ann Duplessis, Angel Thibodeau Burns from Liberty Bank, learning about wills, trusts, and successions. And we heard from Sean and Rabon today on the Charlie Kirk matter. And there is more breaking news just before we end. The suspect has been identified as Tyler Robinson, a 22-year-old Utah resident. And according to law enforcement officials, the way he was identified is family members saw the picture that law enforcement shared.
Is that the guy?
Identified him as the person who probably shot Charlie Kirk, the conservative Turning Point leader on campus in Utah, and they turned him in. Party affiliation as of July 2021, no party.
Okay.
So all this stuff about liberal madness, you know, people jumping to conclusions about one thing or another. Let the story develop. It's horrible to lose a life in any way, but particularly this way. I didn't agree with, I don't think anything I ever heard this man say.
Can I interject something? I heard Charlie,
real quick.
I heard Charlie Kirk said that if he saw a black person flying an airplane, he was scared.
That's right.
I said, what? That's racist.
That's crazy.
I mean, and he said these things
over and over again.
He
again. Hated black
and
folks.
he would have this thing.
But he said he was a Christian, though. He said he said he loved Jesus Christ. All these people hide behind Christianity. The people who put us in slavery said it was Christians, too.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's been a great show. Looking forward to a good weekend. If the Lord blesses us, we'll be right back here on Monday morning. You're listening to WBOK. And up next is going to be Kemba and Graylin with the front porch. But for Eddie and I, we got to get up and get out of here. You're listening to WBOK, 12:30 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Peace.
A message from the Community